Happy Thanksgiving. I'm Jim Skinner, and I want you to download this book if you haven't already done so. Why? Because I want you to feel empowered. It's from my favorite author, Jim Skinner. I happen to be Jim Skinner. So, all kidding aside, I want you to win the game of healthcare. Why? Because you deserve to win the game of healthcare. And you know what? You're probably wondering whether or not there's something here, something deep here that could possibly help you? And the answer is yes. Here's what I have for you. I have a roadmap on becoming a resilient person, a resilient patient, a high performance patient, or a high performance caregiver. I know this language is new and it doesn't really exist out there in the marketplace. And you're thinking to yourself, how could this possibly be? Well, it can be because I've been a patient. I've been where you are. I've been 22 years in the health care business, the health insurance business, and I've helped hundreds of people navigate through a variety of medical situations. But I probably learned the most from a girl during Thanksgiving about 10 years ago. So let me tell you a quick little story. I was in the chemo room at the end of a year-long chemo session, and I was a horrible chemo patient in the sense that I wasn't all that compliant. I quit multiple times. They had to get me through hypnosis to get through it. So anyway, I wasn't all that good. Long story short, I'm in this chemo room and there's this bank of television sets. You know how it is. It's all sterile. And there was really only one person in the room right next to me. And it happened to be the last day of a year of chemo, which for me was a really long period of time. It just ground me down to nothing. I was just crushed by this entire circumstance. And this girl's maybe 14 years old. She's about 90 pounds. She's all curled up under a blanket, kind of trying to stay warm, saying nothing. And in walk about four nurses, and they're all kind of like celebrating the fact that I'm getting through this chemo experience, which was somewhat uplifting, but a lot embarrassing because I'm sitting there in front of somebody who's not necessarily going through the same thing. So I was really sensitive to that. And it felt a little like it was Chuck E. Cheese birthday party type thing. And it caught me off guard. Anyway, the nurses were trying to do their best and they left. And then the girl who was right next to me, this little 14-year-old, kind of comes out from under her blanket and turns to me and she goes, I am so happy for you. I am so ecstatic that you got through this. And congratulations, just fantastic job. And it was really embarrassing because she clearly was not doing as well as I was. And she was the one comforting me. It's a really awkward circumstance to be in, especially when it's a 14-year-old girl talking to a grown male. At the time, I was 42 years old. And she's comforting me. It was really, really odd. And so I turned to her and I was kind of choked up and I said, well, tell me a little bit about your situation. And she said, well, you know, I've been at this for 2 years at least on chemo straight. And this is my second year where I'm going through a Thanksgiving. And I'm so grateful that I can hold my head up to watch the football games at Thanksgiving this year because it'll really change the entire experience that I have. I'm just really super grateful. And she was clearly animated and upbeat and grateful. And it just kind of tore me up, frankly. I didn't really know how to react. I started to cry. And the upshot of this experience with this girl, I call her my Thanksgiving Day girl, was a deep dive into how gratitude works and how positive, empowering emotion works and how people who sometimes you've heard of people come through the other end of a huge medical experience, a huge trauma, and they come out and they say it was really a blessing. And I've always wanted to know, how on earth did it transform from a trauma into a blessing? And here's what I discovered in the process. I discovered the process of resiliency. And I did this deep dive and found out that there's really 4 stages of a resilient progression, if you will, that the most high performance patients go through and the most resilient people in the world go through. And they begin as very compliant and they end up as very empowered on the other end. And I wanted to create a roadmap for people to follow so that they didn't have to spend a decade of a learning curve trying to figure out how to get from point A to point B, how to get from crushed to empowered. How is it that that occurs? And here's the gist of it. Here's what I discovered, is that the most resilient people in the world put on what I call resilience filters. They're emotional filters through which all of the trauma and all of the experience and the stress flows, and that changes their entire experience. These are empowering emotions. This isn't just a mental exercise. This is an emotional experiential exercise, and it's strategic, and they actually pick an emotion that is super meaningful for them. I'll give you a quick example. A woman I know, stage 4 leukemia, decided that she was just going to be kind to every single person she ran into over the course of her entire experience. It radically changed her own outcome. It changed the outcome of all the experience of the people around her. She started parading around a chemo ward in Seattle and created a whole line of people that followed her around that were empowered by her experience. And so what I want to tell you and give to you is an opportunity to shortcut this resiliency learning curve that can take a decade by giving you something called the Opportunity Coach. This is the result of a deep dive of a decade's worth of work into what resilient people do. And this is the only program of its kind that teaches resilience and creates high-performance patients and high-performance caregivers. And I know it's kind of mind-blowing to think that you could be high-performing in all of these adverse circumstances, but the reality is you can. You just need a roadmap how to get there. And that's what the Opportunity Coach is. That's what I want to give you. And I want to do it this weekend at Thanksgiving because it meshes with the whole theme of gratitude, which is really what this whole thing is built on. And I want to give it to you right here, right now. So what I'm going to give you is the book, Empowered. I'm going to give you the Opportunity Coach. I'm going to give you a mastermind group where we're going to show you how to use the Opportunity Coach in during webinars that you can join me and other people and learn how to create resilience filters that just work for your particular circumstance. And then the last thing I want to throw in there to make this just kind of a no-brainer is our navigation program called the Wingman Program. And this is patient navigation that helps you do expert research, that helps you do decision support as you go through your specific healthcare trauma and situation. So it's all available to you right here, right now, with one click for 99 bucks. It's 90% off. We're practically giving it to you. It is the culmination of at least a couple of decades worth of work of a lot of people and me in particular, and I'm making it available to you right here, right now for Thanksgiving. So I hope that this video has helped you, and if you don't even take advantage of this offer and you know somebody who might, please feel free to kind of pass it on to somebody that you may know, because I guarantee you they're looking around for these shortcuts. Have a great Thanksgiving. I'm Jim Skinner. Take care. Bye-bye.